The coffee cup shattered on the marble tile with a sharp crack that echoed through the silent Beverly Hills kitchen. Maria flinched, her eyes wide, as Bruce Willis stood frozen, coffee dripping from the sleeve of his robe. I didn't mean," she stammered, reaching for a towel with trembling hands. Bruce didn't move, he just stared at her, a quiet confusion in his tired eyes. It was 6:15 a.m. The sun had barely begun filtering through the gauzy curtains, and the whole house smelled of toast and citrus cleaner. He looked thinner than she expected, smaller somehow, human. "I told you I like the dark roast," she mumbled under her breath, not looking at him. He blinked. "What?" "Nothing." Maria bent to clean the mess, her knees cracking, face burning. She'd been up since 4, scrubbing bathrooms and making sure every fingerprint was erased from the glass walls. And now this. This was the 3rd time in a week she'd snapped at him. And still, Bruce just stood there. No anger, no yelling. Just quiet. In her mind, she was already rewriting her resume. By 8 a.m., she was outside trimming the hydrangeas by the front gate when Demi's black SUV rolled into the driveway. Maria stiffened. She hadn't known Demi was coming today. The door opened, and Demi stepped out with oversized sunglasses and a yoga mat. She didn't say a word, just gave Maria a long, unreadable look as she passed. It wasn't until noon that things truly snapped. Maria was in the upstairs hallway, adjusting a painting on the wall, when Bruce's voice floated up from the den. "She hates me, Demi. She barely talks to me. If she does, it's clipped, cold." Maria froze. She hadn't meant to eavesdrop. "I'm telling you," Bruce said again, quieter this time, "I think she thinks I'm stupid." Demi's reply was muffled, but then, clear as day, came her voice. "That's why I installed the cameras." Maria's heart stopped. Cameras? She backed away from the hallway. Her hands were slick with sweat. She'd been rude, yes, she'd muttered things, rolled her eyes when she thought no one was watching. But that was private. That was supposed to be private. She stumbled into the laundry room, her pulse racing. Were they serious? Was this a trap? Downstairs, the murmur of voices continued, then laughter. Demi's signature raspy laugh. Maria gritted her teeth. Was this funny to them? A joke? Her phone buzzed. It was a message from her sister back in El Salvador. A photo of their sick mother in bed. Maria had sent half her paycheck last week. It wasn't enough. It was never enough. She leaned against the wall, stomach in knots. Was this how it all ended? Suddenly she remembered the night before, the way she'd slammed the coffee pod drawer shut, muttering under her breath in Spanish. Something about rich people and their stupid, complicated machines. She winced. Had the camera caught that? She couldn't be sure, but Demi could. And as the afternoon sun slanted through the kitchen windows, Maria realized something chilling. The house had eyes. To find out what happens next in this quietly explosive story, hit subscribe and let us know in the comments if you've ever seen someone get caught red-handed on camera. Maria didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the house felt like a camera turning toward her. She kept replaying things she had said, how she'd whispered to herself in Spanish after Bruce asked her to reheat his toast again, how she'd slammed the vacuum hose into the antique table leg when no one was watching. Or so she thought. By morning, she was moving like a ghost through the house, unsure where the lenses were, unsure where to look. But then, around 10 a.m., she saw it. A tiny red light. It was perched high in the living room corner, barely visible against the cream-colored ceiling. A small, almost imperceptible dot. Watching. Maria froze in place, the duster still in her hand. Her stomach turned. She stepped back slowly and looked around. How many more? She spent the rest of the day pretending to clean but scanning the rooms. She spotted at least 3 more, one in the hallway by the bedrooms, one above the kitchen island, and one near the back patio door. Sleek black domes like insect eyes. She was being watched. Always. By 3 p.m., she stood outside on the edge of the garden, clutching the handle of the garbage bin, unsure whether to scream or cry. This wasn't part of the job. At least, no one had said it was. That's when Demi came out. Her steps were casual, slow. She wore joggers and a baseball cap, sunglasses still on even though the sun was low. She stopped a few feet from Maria and didn't say anything for a long time. Then, "Can I talk to you for a second?" Maria turned, forcing a polite smile. "Of course, ma'am." Demi studied her. "You've been quiet." "I've been busy." "I noticed," Demi said, then paused. "You saw the cameras." It wasn't a question. Maria's mouth went dry. "Yes." "Look," Demi said, crossing her arms. "Bruce is not always himself these days. We had to take precautions. I'm not doing this to trap anyone." Maria stiffened. "So what is it for?" "To protect him," Demi replied. "He forgets things. He gets confused. We need to make sure nothing's off." Maria looked away. "You think I'd hurt him?" "No, but I think stress makes people say things they normally wouldn't. And sometimes we don't realize how we sound." There it was, a diplomatic slap. Maria nodded slowly. "So, you've watched the footage?" Demi hesitated, then gave the smallest nod. "Some of it." Maria's chest tightened. "And?" Another pause. "I think you're tired. I think maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you think no one sees what you do." "But we do, Maria." "I do." For a moment, Maria didn't know whether to scream, cry, or thank her. She stared at the mulch, the roses Bruce had trimmed the week before, the sky turning gold above the hedges. "I send money back home," Maria said quietly. "My mum's sick. My sister works 2 jobs. I sleep 4 hours a night, and I wake up wondering if today's the day I'm fired for not smiling enough." Demi looked down, then back up. "I understand." Maria shook her head. "No, you don't. But maybe you want to. That counts for something." Demi was silent. Then she nodded. "There's a dinner party this weekend," she said. "High profile. Can you help?" Maria hesitated. Then slowly she said, "Yes." Inside, the red light blinked on, and this time Maria didn't flinch. The backyard looked like a spread from a magazine. Twinkling string lights crisscrossed above long wooden tables draped in cream linen. Crystal glasses shimmered under the California sunset. Maria stood near the kitchen entrance, a folded napkin in one hand, watching the gathering begin. She had spent the entire day prepping, slicing figs, arranging cutlery, fluffing cushions, polishing glassware until her fingers stung. Now she stood invisible, the way good help was supposed to be. Bruce appeared just after 6:30 p.m., guided gently by Demi. He wore a light grey jacket and a hesitant smile. Guests turned toward him with warmth, voices rising with laughter and greetings. He smiled, nodded, but rarely spoke. Maria watched it all carefully. Every glance, every shift in tone. She wasn't sure if she was still an employee or under investigation. Demi moved through the party like a director on set, checking on guests, adjusting music volume, guiding conversations. Maria admired her control, even if it felt unnerving. Nothing happened in this house without Demi noticing. Halfway through the evening, Maria was in the kitchen stacking dessert plates when she heard the tail end of a conversation. "She's been here for years, right? The maid?" It was a man's voice, slightly nasal, East Coast accent. "I think so," a woman replied. Demi vouched for her, but still, "Cameras, huh?" Maria froze, hand still on the stack of plates. "Yeah, it's smart," the man continued. "You never know, these people see everything. Who's to say what they'll do if no one's watching?" The woman gave a little laugh. "Well, now they're always being watched." Maria stepped back out of sight. Her throat tightened. Was that how they saw her? A risk? She walked outside to reset the drinks tray, her breath shallow. She passed Bruce near the garden path, where he stood slightly apart, looking at the koi pond. "You okay?" she asked before she could stop herself. He looked at her slowly. "I liked you more before you were scared of me." The words hit her like a slap. "I'm not scared," she whispered. He gave a small smile. "Then say what you're thinking." Maria hesitated. "I think this place eats people alive," Bruce chuckled, It does, but not all at once. It takes little bites. She looked at him. Really looked. His shoulders were slightly hunched, his eyes flickering. A man unraveling slowly, quietly, behind expensive clothes and garden lights. "Do you remember their names?" she asked. "The guests." Bruce looked at the table. "Some. Not all." Maria nodded. "I forget things too, like what day it is, whether I locked the gate. Sometimes I forget the sound of my mother's voice." Bruce looked at her, surprised. There was a flicker of something shared there. Loss. Fragility. "I miss who I used to be," he said. Maria swallowed hard. "Me too." The sound of laughter erupted from the patio. A tray clinked. Music floated from hidden speakers. Demi walked over just then, her eyes moving between them. "Everything good here?" she asked. Bruce smiled faintly. "We're remembering things." Maria held his gaze for another second, then nodded. "All good, Mom." Demi looked between them again, curious. Then she smiled softly. "Carry on." Maria turned back toward the kitchen, the tray still in her hands. But something had shifted. Not just in her, but in Bruce too. A small silent understanding had passed between them. For the first time since the red light appeared, Maria didn't feel like a suspect. She felt seen. By Monday morning, the air in the house felt different. Maria woke at 5:30, but not out of dread. The knot in her stomach that had been her constant companion for weeks had loosened. She brewed Bruce's coffee, dark roast, strong, and placed it on the kitchen island without breaking a cup or muttering under her breath. At 6:15 sharp, he walked in wearing his grey robe and socks with faint blue stripes. His steps were slower than usual. "Morning," Maria said, careful, neutral. Bruce looked at the cup. "You remembered." She gave a tight nod. "Dark roast." "No cream." He smiled a little. "Thank you." It wasn't much, but it was more than they'd had before. Later that morning, Maria passed by his study and heard music playing. Not through speakers, actual music, coming from the upright piano against the wall. She peeked in. Bruce was sitting there, tapping out a slow melody with stiff fingers. He paused often, staring at the keys, sometimes closing his eyes. "You play?" she asked gently. He turned. "I did. Long time ago." She leaned on the doorframe. "That sounded nice." He smiled. "I forget the middle sometimes." "We all do." Bruce chuckled. "Yeah, but people notice when I do." She didn't respond. There was nothing to say to that. At lunch, Demi arrived. She and Bruce sat outside in the sunroom, eating quinoa salad and sharing brief conversation. Maria moved through like smoke, refilling water glasses, clearing plates, never lingering. But as she passed behind Bruce, she heard Demi say quietly, "She's changed, hasn't she?" Bruce didn't reply right away. Then softly, "Maybe we both have." Later in the laundry room, Maria found a small envelope with her name on it, taped to the inside of the cabinet door. Inside was a handwritten note. "We see you. We value you. Thank you. D and B." No money, no warning, just those words. She stared at them for a long time. That night, when she called her sister in El Salvador, she could finally tell her that the job felt secure again, that she could send more next week, that things were looking up. "You sound different," her sister said. Maria smiled. "I think I am." The next morning, Bruce was in the backyard with clippers, trimming roses in the cool shade. Maria joined him after breakfast. "Do you need help?" He looked at her with a grin. "Do you know roses?" "Only that they hurt you if you don't respect them." He laughed. "That's more than most people know." They worked together in silence, side by side. The clippers clicked, the sun rose, and Maria didn't once look for the red lights. Later, she found herself in the den dusting picture frames when she noticed one she hadn't seen before. A photo of Bruce and Demi, years younger, arms around their 3 daughters. A frozen smile, a moment of family before everything changed. She touched the edge of the frame gently. Behind her, Bruce said, That was a good day. She turned. I can tell. He nodded. We forget a lot. But not the good days. Those stay somewhere. Maria looked at him. I think this might be one of them. For a moment, neither of them said anything. Outside, the gardener's rake moved softly across the gravel. Inside, something unspoken settled. Peace. The footage wasn't what Maria thought it would be. It was a Thursday morning when Demi called her into the den. The curtains were drawn, and the room smelled faintly of jasmine. A laptop sat open on the coffee table, and Bruce sat beside it, watching the screen with a distant look. Maria hesitated at the door. Is everything okay? Demi motioned her in. Sit down, please. Maria's stomach flipped. This was it, the moment of judgment. She sat on the edge of the leather chair, hands folded tightly in her lap. Demi clicked play. The video began with Maria in the kitchen prepping breakfast. She was silent, fast, efficient. Then Bruce wandered in, asking where his slippers were. Maria paused the eggs, her face barely moved. Where you left them, she said sharply in the recording. Demi hit pause. Maria stared at the screen, already bracing for the worst. I remember that morning, Maria whispered. I was tired. Demi looked at her, then clicked forward. The next clip showed Maria in the hallway, muttering under her breath as she vacuumed. Then another, slamming a drawer. Then another, rolling her eyes. I thought these were private moments, Maria said softly. Demi tilted her head. You weren't wrong, but that's not the footage I wanted to show you. She rewound. Now Bruce appeared, sitting at the piano. Maria stood in the doorway, soft smile on her face. Then a clip of the two of them pruning roses, working silently in rhythm. Then another, Maria adjusting a blanket over Bruce's shoulders as he drifted off during an afternoon nap. Then the most recent one, Maria placing a bowl of warm soup in front of him without a word, her hand briefly touching his as she set down the spoon. Demi paused again. That's what we see now, she said. Maria blinked. You were never just the help, Bruce said quietly, his voice firmer than she'd heard in days. You showed up when I needed someone most, even when I didn't realize it. Maria looked down, overwhelmed. I've made mistakes, said things I regret. We all have, Demi replied. What matters is what we do next. There was a long silence in the room. Then Bruce smiled and reached for the laptop, closing it gently. I want you to stay, he said. Maria looked at them, eyes stinging. I want to stay. As she walked out of the room, sunlight streamed through the windows. The red light above the door blinked once, then went dark. Maria paused, staring at it. Then she smiled. She didn't need to worry about being watched anymore. She'd already been seen. That night after dinner, Maria stood outside on the balcony overlooking the garden. The lights twinkled gently, the scent of rosemary and night jasmine heavy in the air. She could hear Bruce playing softly inside, a tune he was finally starting to remember. Her phone buzzed, a message from her sister. Mama ate today. She's asking about you. Maria closed her eyes, breathed in deep. She was still the maid. But here in this house full of fading stars and blinking cameras, she had become something more. A witness, a comfort, a part of someone's memory, and maybe, just maybe, someone's healing. If this story moved you even just a little, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. And click on the video on the screen to dive into another powerful journey. We'll be waiting for you there.